Hey, what's going on, Flash Mob? It's your boy Flash back again with another video. And today we're going to talk about something that's extremely important, but not so exciting if we're looking at it from a holistic view. This item is more about helping us save time and be more efficient in post-production. And that system that I'm talking about is the Tentacle Sync E. There comes a time in your career where you realize that one camera angle is just not going to be enough to get the coverage that a client is looking for. So you start bringing in more and more cameras, which is great, but it also creates some back-end complications. It makes me think back to this comedy show that we were hired to film, and essentially what we had to do was have a 4-camera setup to capture what was going on. The client wanted a wide static angle at the back to get the whole stage. They wanted a tracking angle to also follow the comic that was moving on the stage. They also had these judges set up to the side, so they wanted a static shot of them as well. And then of course they wanted some crowd reactions like laughing and clapping and whatever that was happening in the crowd. Now this is all fun and great to record on the day of. It's a lot of fun, you're doing your thing, but when it's time to take that footage back to the computer and actually sync up all those cameras and create something out of it, it is an absolute nightmare. And syncing the audio later in post could be a problem for a multitude of reasons. And one of those reasons is that the audio just probably wasn't recorded at a good enough level for the program to recognize. So you'll be trying to synchronize the audio from camera that's over here, one that's in the back, one that's over there, and then you have this other camera that's starting and stopping continuously. It's just a lot for the program to try and process and figure out on its own. But this is where Timecode comes in and solves that problem forever. Now, if you've never heard of Timecode before, it's basically just an extremely accurate clock that generates time. So that when it's time to sync it all up, you're using that timecode rather than trying to sync it up using the audio waveforms. This helps you save a tremendous amount of time when you're working with a multi-camera project. Let's go ahead and open it up real quick and see what it comes with. So it looks like a couple of things here. It's a warranty card, a getting started card, so it'll just give you some information on how to get started quickly. And it looks like just a quick thank you card with some information on how to contact them in case you need any more support. Set that to the side. At the top here, they present you the 2 Tentacle Sync units. So we're going to take a look at this in a few minutes. Another box here. It looks like a bunch of little things. Okay, so you get, it looks like 2 3.5mm jacks. Awesome. This is going to be used to connect the Tentacle Syncs to a particular type of camera or field recorder. In my case, I probably won't need these too much. Looks like we get 2 cables to charge the units. We get a little baggie here. Let's see what we got in there. So it looks like a couple of safety clips. So essentially you put these on once the cables are plugged into the Tentacle Syncs so that they don't accidentally come out or get unplugged. So that's pretty good. Looks like a couple stickers. Nothing special, but thank you. Alright, so these look like a couple of colored elastic bands, I guess, so that you can put around here. So they have this orange one on here by default, but you can change the color and put it to whatever you like in this little case here. And then it looks like some other-sided Velcro. So maybe you can put this on your batteries or somewhere on your camera. And this gives you the ability to attach it via this other side of Velcro here without any additional screws or anything like that. So pretty thoughtful, pretty cool. Yeah, I'd probably throw a couple of these on my batteries and make it all work that way. Pretty good idea. And then it looks like everything is meant to just fit in this little baggie here. So pretty thoughtful, pretty cool. I like this. Good stuff. And now because I do use quite a few different cameras on a production, most of the time it's a minimum of 3. I did decide to get an extra one just so that I can sync this up to another camera. So I'm not going to go through the whole unboxing because I figure it's going to be exactly the same as the last one. So you know it's here. So let's turn them on real quick and see how it all works. So to turn on the units is pretty easy. You just hit this little switch on the side, hold it for a couple seconds, and we'll turn on each of the Sync E's. And now you will see this little red flashing light, and that's just basically letting you know that the Sync E's are not synced right now. So in order to sync them, you have to use the app. So you just go on your phone and download the Sync E device. And then from there, you go to add a device, and you should see all 3 of the devices to pop up there, which is cool. And then you want to click on one of them And then you just basically hold it close to the phone and it should automatically sync it up. You guys could probably tell I cheated a little bit here and did this before recording, because you see my names for the cameras already. So I'm just going to hold it close to them again and it should connect it to the other one. Cool. And then we'll do it one more time for the last one. Hold it nice and close and magically it does it on its own. So when you actually click on one of the devices, you can see that you can change the name, you can change the output volume, you can change the frame rate, which I'm actually going to do. Set it to 2398, that's what I usually set it to. You can also change the auto power off in the menu right here. And then you have your user bits, I don't know what that is, and you can sync to this device. So I'm going to go ahead and sync to this device and do it for all of them. Cool, so we all have it synced to this device now, so now it recognizes my phone as the only operator. And then what we want to go ahead and do, it does say that the timecode cable is unplugged, which is fine. We don't need to plug that in right now. This is just for the syncing. What we can do now is just make sure that they're all on the same frame rate. So I'm going to change this to 2398. Make sure this is at 2398. Yep, perfect. And then what we want to do is go ahead and hit the sync button. So we can go ahead and just let it use this. We'll change the frame rate to 2398 like the rest of them, and we're going to hit start. And what this is going to do is recognize the three, and it's going to put them all into sync. And when they're all synced up, you'll see a little green flashing light letting you know that they're all synced up properly. And on the app, you'll also see it there. I would double check and make sure that they're all on the same frame rate just to ensure that you have the proper sync. And that was actually pretty damn easy. The next step will be to plug them into the cameras and recording devices you're going to be using with the appropriate cables. In my case, I'm using the 9-pin LEMO to the 3.5mm jack because that's what the Red cameras use. And on my Komodos, I need to go into the menus, go to the audio/TC, then go to timecode source, select external, then ensure that the timecode display mode is set to TOD or time of day, and that's literally it. From there, you plug in your 9-pin LEMO to the camera and the other end into your Tentacle Sync, and it will automatically update the timecode from there. And for your audio recorder, in my case, I'm using the Zoom F6. You will also need to go into the settings and go to mode, then select external, and leave everything else in there alone. From there, you want to set your frames per second and make sure that it all matches the same. So we chose 2398 on the Tentacle Syncs. We're also going to want to set that to the two cameras and the field recorder. This part is very important. And the reason why, if they're not on the same frame rate, you are not going to be able to sync these cameras up later in post. So keep note of that. You may also want to turn on your EXT audio sync and your EXT continuous. And this basically just allows your recorder to keep the same time code even if the Tentacle Sync is unplugged from it. And will also auto sync the time code when the Tentacle Sync is plugged back in. A few key things that you need to remember when working with time code is that all of the cameras and recorders need to be on the same exact frame rate. That does include whatever you set the Tentacle Syncs to. If you don't do that, any camera or field recorder that's not on the same frame rates as the Tentacle Syncs will not sync up in post. So that is the key to this entire thing. Make sure every camera that you want to be able to sync is on the same frames per second. You can remove the Tentacle Sync from the field recorder and maintain your time code. This is great because you're then able to use that Tentacle Sync on another camera. So in my case, I would use one to sync my field recorder, and then I'll take that one off of the field recorder and plug it into a camera and get that same time code generated to that camera. The cool thing about the F6 field recorder is that it has a really good ability to keep and generate that time code that it's given. So in most other things like cameras or whatever, it kind of drifts. Not on this field recorder. It will hold that time code pretty much until you turn it off. When you plug in your Tentacle Sync into your camera and you jam the time code, you need to keep this plugged into the camera. Unlike the field recorder, most cameras do not have a good internal time code generator that just holds that time code for you. So if you unplug it, you have a really high chance of it beginning to drift. And again, when you bring it into post, you try to sync it all up, you're going to start finding some troubles there. So keep it plugged into the camera. If at any point it is plugged out or the camera is turned off, you will need to resync and jam the time code to your Tentacle Sync. You will also need the appropriate cables for the camera system that you use. Most cameras do use that 3.5mm jack that's included with the Tentacle Sync, but if you're like me and you use a Red camera, it does use that 9-pin LEMO to the 3.5mm jack. I'm not sure how many other options are on the market. If you do know, make sure you leave it in the comments so I can, educate myself a little bit more. But for the most case, it just takes a little bit of research to find out which cable you'll need for your camera. Get the cable, and then you'll be able to use the system no problem. You can name each Tentacle Sync receiver, but keep in mind whatever name that you put into this receiver is also embedded into the metadata. So if you go ahead and name it something, silly, just know that if you're giving these files over to your client, they're also going to see those names that you give it. So keep that in mind. Having timecode on pretty much any project is going to be a benefit to you. But where you're going to see the most use for these type of things is any kind of event or project where you're going to be using a multitude of cameras. Or any type of event where you have, one or two cameras that's continually starting and stopping over a long period of time. Or if, you have a field recorder that's getting the professional audio from, let's say, the house speakers or whatever like that. So like, for example, at a wedding, maybe they have the mic system connected to the DJ board. If you want to get that professional audio from the DJ board, you can record it into your field recorder. And then all of your cameras will sync to the professional audio that you're getting from there and making your life an absolute breeze. Personally, I will never shoot another wedding again without using these things. Matter of fact, I wouldn't do another event. I wouldn't even do interviews, a documentary, short film. I'm not shooting anything else without using these Tentacle Syncs. If I'm using more than one camera or trying to record into a professional recording device like the Zoom F6, these will be with me, guaranteed. And one of the reasons why they're always going to be with me is because of the price. These are expensive. If you live in Canada and you decide to go and buy these from one of the shops there, the 2-kit pack comes in at $539, and if you want a single unit, it comes in at $309. And then if you need the cables for your Red camera and any other camera, you're looking at between $50 to $80 for the single cable. Ridiculous. Not to mention you'll need a field recorder, and if you decide to go with the Zoom F6, that's another $950 that you're going to have to pay just to have a recorder that has the ability to hold and generate timecode. But if there's one thing that I learned, especially when you get to this level of the game, is that if it saves you time, spend the money. And then all you have to do is start charging your clients appropriately for what you bring to the production. I'm going to take some time to really dive into this Tentacle Sync system and see how it all works. If you guys are interested in seeing how to sync all of these devices up in DaVinci Resolve, make sure you leave a comment for me and I'll go ahead and put together a video for you guys. But that's really going to be it for this video. I see a tremendous upside for this purchase, and I can't wait to implement this system into my workflow. If you learned something from this video, go ahead and hit that like button so that other people can see it as well. And if you like these type of videos and you want to see more, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I will leave a link in the description where you can go ahead and pick up all the items that we talked about in this video. And if you use the link, it helps support this channel so I can continue to make more videos for you guys. So I truly appreciate it if that's something you're planning on doing. Thanks for watching, guys, and always remember to look, learn, and share. Take it easy, guys. Peace.